Adolf Hitler. Biography. Hitler was born in a small town in Austria in 1889. He was the son of a local customs official and his much younger third wife. Hitler's father was an illegitimate child, and it is uncertain who his father was, but there is no evidence for the legend that this unidentified grandfather was Jewish. Hitler's father was harsh and distant. He had a closer relationship with his mother, and her death from cancer when he was 17 was traumatic for him. Hitler had a normal education. As a young man, he showed no special talents. He wanted to study art and moved to Vienna after his mother's death in hope of being accepted to art school, but was turned down for lack of talent. He was decorated during his service in the German army in World War I. In 1919, he joined the German Workers' Party DEP, the precursor of the Nazi Party, and was appointed leader of the Nazi Party in 1921. In 1923, he attempted to seize governmental power in a failed coup in Munich and was imprisoned with a sentence of 5 years. In jail, he dictated the first volume of his autobiography and political manifesto Mein Kampf, My Struggle. After his early release in 1924, Hitler gained popular support by attacking the Treaty of Versailles and promoting pan-Germanism, anti-Semitism, and anti-communism with charismatic oratory and Nazi propaganda. He frequently denounced international capitalism and communism as part of a Jewish conspiracy. The stages of Hitler's rise to power 1924 to 1933. After the Beer Hall Putsch in 1923, Hitler was tried and sentenced to prison. Most observers assume that his political career was over. The extreme economic problems that had weakened the Weimar Republic in its first few years eased starting in 1924, and fewer people were attracted to political extremism. 1924. In prison, Hitler writes Mein Kampf, setting out his ideas. In his absence, it becomes clear that no one else can create a successful ultra-right-wing movement. 1925 to 28. Hitler, released from prison, reconstitutes the Nazi Party. Under his exclusive leadership, the party does very poorly in elections, but this period allows Hitler to recruit a small but devoted group of followers, including many who would be leading figures in the Nazi regime after it came to power. 1929. 32. The start of the World Economic Depression following the crash of the United States stock market in October 1929 gives Hitler a chance. As unemployment skyrockets in Germany, voters turn against parties associated with the Weimar Republic. The Nazis score a series of successes in state elections. Hitler benefits from the deep divisions among the other German political parties. The communists hope to profit from the depression. They blame Germany's problems on capitalism, call for a revolution, and refuse to cooperate with any. They see Hitler as a potentially useful ally. The Social Democratic Party is the strongest defender of the democratic system, but blames the bourgeois pro-capitalist parties for the economic crisis. The Catholic Center Party has the greatest weight in the government, but has no remedy for the depression. By contrast, the Nazis offer a simple explanation of the crisis. It's the fault of the Jews and a simple program for ending it. In national parliamentary elections in September 1930, the Nazis score an unexpected success, winning 18% of the vote and becoming the second largest party after the Social Democrats. In 1932, Hitler runs for president against the celebrated war hero Hindenburg and wins 37% of the vote. 1930 to 1933. An unpopular coalition government led by the Center Party fails to gain support, and new parliamentary elections are called in July 1932. Hitler's party wins 37% of the vote, while the communists get 16%. No majority coalition in favor of democracy can be established anymore. Various right-wing politicians compete with each other to create a government that will rule by decree. Hitler is offered a place in one of these schemes engineered by von Schleicher in August 1932, but refuses because he would not have full control. New elections are held in November 1930 to break the deadlock. For the first time since 1929, the Nazis' share of the vote goes down to 32%. Fearing that his moment may be about to pass, Hitler becomes more conciliatory to Schleicher. On January 30, 1933, an agreement is announced. Hitler will be named Chancellor Prime Minister. Despite the broad support for the Nazis, the party will have only 4 seats in the cabinet. Schleicher and other conservatives expect Hitler's extremism to undermine his popularity. They will then be able to dismiss him and keep power themselves. Significant points about Hitler's rise to power. Sad face. 1. Hitler's success owed a great deal to the weakness of democracy in Germany. 2. It took the Great Depression to create the conditions in which Hitler could come to power. 3. Although his party did become the largest in Germany, Hitler was not elected to office. The Nazis never won an absolute majority of votes, even in the final elections held after they came to power in March 1933, for Hitler became chancellor thanks to the calculations of right-wing nationalist politicians who thought they could use his popularity to destroy the Weimar system. Eyewitnesses who saw Hitler's body immediately after his suicide testify that he died from a self-inflicted gunshot, which has been established to have been a shot to the temple. C.D. Otto Gnschche, Hitler's personal adjutant, who handled both bodies, testified that while Braun's smelled strongly of burnt almonds, an indication of cyanide poisoning, there was no such odor about Hitler's body, which smelled of gunpowder, for dental remains extracted from the soil in the garden were matched with Hitler's dental records in May 1945. 5-6F. The dental remains were later confirmed as being Hitler's. The Soviet Union restricted the release of information and released many conflicting reports about Hitler's death. Historians have largely rejected these as part of a deliberate disinformation campaign by Joseph Stalin to sow confusion regarding Hitler's death. 7. GHIR have attempted to reconcile them. Soviet records allege that the burnt remains of Hitler and Braun were recovered, despite eyewitness accounts that they were almost completely reduced to ashes. In June 1945, the Soviets began ceding to contradictory narratives that Hitler died by taking cyanide and that he had survived and fled to another country. 8, 9, 10. Following extensive review, West Germany issued a death certificate in 1956. 11. Conspiracy theories about Hitler's death continue to attract interest.